let's see if my soaked filters in Pinot Noir has had any effect on Redwood Empire. It has. Welcome back to Lost Monarch Week. We're going to experiment today with Whiskey Pump. Here's the thing that I wanted to know. What would Lost Monarch taste like if it was a little older and had spent some more time in a charred barrel? So what I did was I charred a filter for Whiskey Pump, and we're going to run some whiskey through that. And then I wondered, what would Redwood Empire taste like if it had a little wine finish to it? Now, interestingly enough, the people that make Redwood Empire also make wine. They own the Rayburn winery. It's in Russian River Valley. This is their Pinot Noir. It's their 2020 Pinot Noir, and that's a delicious wine, by the way. So what I did was I soaked a couple of filters in that Pinot Noir. So we're going to run our Lost Monarch through the charred filter. Now, these ones that I soaked, I meant to mention this and I just didn't. I charred these before I soaked them. So they are charred and wine soaked. So this will be fun to see how this works out. Now, we're going to use our Whiskey Pump. Now, how Whiskey Pump works is it pushes your whiskey through a little wood filter. They call it a filter. And it's a little piece of raw white oak wood. And I find that I get a better result by toasting or charring this. So for this test, I charred it, and we're going to run it through and see how it affects our Redwood Empire. Now I have a little bit of Redwood Empire here poured as our control whiskey, just so that we have a baseline and we can check to see what kind of effect we've had. Let me put a little bit more in here. Not quite enough. There we go. Okay. Now, I've loaded my charred filter in. Now we fill up the little cup here with some whiskey, and we're ready to pump. I'm not going to do as much as usual because I tend to do too much. I'm going to try to do this without making a heckin' mess. So we're going to do you into here. Let's see. Ooh, we got some little bits of char off of that filter came through in the whiskey. That's one thing that can happen when you char these, is you can get a little bit of char in your whiskey after you do it. I don't mind. I mean, it's just extra protein, right? Protein, right? So my dad always used to say, whenever there'd be bugs in something, if a bug got in your drink, he'd be like, what's the big deal? It's extra protein. Me as a kid, I didn't appreciate the dad jokes as much as I do now that I'm a grandpa. So now that I'm a grandpa, the dad jokes are pretty elite. So whatever. All right, so now we're doing our, I did make a mess. I knew it was going to happen. We're going to do our wine soaked filters. Let's get a little more of the Losty Monarchy. I'm super curious to see how this turns out. This is something that, one of the things that I've thought about since I got this Whiskey Pump to try is trying. I already did brandy, but I hadn't done wine yet. So this is one of the things I was very curious about, is to see what kind of effect this would have on a whiskey. So we have our charred and wine soaked. And a little bit of a leaky problem here. I don't think I got that all the way tight. Okay, we're good. We got all of our whiskey in there. So now, get organized here. Baseline. Let's nose the charred first. Oh, it did make a difference. A little more vanilla, a little less rye. It tamed down that singy, big rye note. A little more vanilla, a little more oak. Wow, that actually made a significant difference. It calmed the rye down, brought out some more of those oaky, bourbony, rich caramel, vanilla flavors that you normally find in bourbons. It like brought those a little more to the front, running it through the charred filter. That's not bad at all. I think that might be an improvement. That might be. Yeah, I think so. I like that better. I actually do. I really do. It rounded off some edges. It added some stuff that I really like. There's nothing about the difference between these two that is a negative. It only made it better. I'm telling you, I don't love the results from Whiskey Pump as the filters come. I don't. It doesn't seem to like the running it through raw oak to me doesn't make the whiskey better. All the experiments that I've done with the Whiskey Pump, using the filters as they come from them, they're not. It's not an improvement. This though, the charred, if you char them or toast those filters, I toast mine with a heat gun. I char it with a little torch that I use for smoking whiskeys with all of my little smoking kits. I will char it. I'll hold it with a pair of tongs and char it up and char it black. Because as you can see, right, I don't know if it'll focus on it, but you see the little white spot there? That's from my tong holding it. And then I char the whole thing. But see how white it is? That's how it's white, clean, plain oak when it comes from Whiskey Pump. So anyway, let's jump on to the wine soaked. So the whole point of this video was, what if Redwood Empire was finished in wine? And Redwood Empire has access to wine barrels, just saying. And they haven't put out a finished product yet, which seems weird to me since they have the wine barrels already there doing a thing. Finished whiskey, please. How about that? Let's do it. Let's see if my soaked filters in Pinot Noir has had any effect on Redwood Empire. It has. I smell wine. There's a fruitiness there now that was not there before. Grapey, round, earthy, pungent. Let's taste. Oh, that worked so well. Wow, that's the best result I've ever had with a whiskey pump. Pumping a whiskey through anything. The brandy was great when I tried pumping some whiskeys through brandy. That was really nice. I did bourbon soaked, charred and bourbon soaked. That was nice. This is the nicest result that I've had yet. That is absolutely magnificent. Fruit orchard, it's like apricots. It's almost a pear note, but also dark fruit, grapey, plummy, and still pungent, earthy. That's so nice. Oh my gosh, I really like that. That is literally the best result that I've had. Now this, obviously it's still in the wine, so this is a very wet filter. So this is like using a wet wine barrel to age your whiskey. Redwood Empire, I'm speaking straight to you. If you don't take and finish some of your whiskeys in your Pinot Noir, you are messing up. You're messing up. This is phenomenal. Oh. All right, guys. The whiskey pump thing, it absolutely freaking works. If you play with it, if you use it properly, it works and works well. It does a thing. Charred. Using a charred one really made a difference on this whiskey. Rounded off everything sharp and gave it some really nice texture, some nice oakiness, and a little extra boost in the flavor department. But this wine-soaked charred filter, good golly. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I hope you have a great day. And I hope you experiment with whiskey. That's what it's there for. It is not a sacred thing to never mess with, to never experiment with. Drink it the way you want. And if you want to experiment and play with stuff, do it and have a friggin' blast doing it. I love discovering new stuff, figuring out how to make something better, and playing with it. I hope you like it too. Thanks for watching.